Okay, we're back and we got our agent loaded and ready. So let's talk a little bit about cameras. Once you open Massive, 4 default cameras will be created for you. Now these cameras are the same on everything except probably the view. And if I go control zoom out here, if I go to view and check cameras on, I will see the location of these cameras. Here it is. Just if you want to know it. I don't want to see those cameras right now, so I'll go back to view and check it off. Okay, now I'm going to create my own camera. So I'll go and pick that node and drag it. Now we have this new camera. It's called camera 5. Not much of a name, so I'll call it my camera. And if you might notice, if I lift a space between two words in any name, Massive will immediately shift the second word to the second line. And that's really good for organization of names. And it also not much of a view, so I'm going to Alt Shift V again. I'll put it again here. Okay, let's see what we got now. This is my camera. Let's see what kind of options do we have for this camera. Instantly, once you select any node on Massive, you'll find that all the attributes and all the properties are located down here on the screen. Let's see those options tabs here. And let's start with Transform tab. And from its name, you can notice immediately that this is for transformation properties for the camera. So if I start changing my properties here, my RX, RY, RZ, for example, I will notice that it's the same as the orbiting camera. And if I change the TX, TY properties here, it's the same thing like panning. And the TZ, same thing as zoom out, zoom in. And you got the CX, CY's, TZ that can give you also a different kind of transformation. Now the thing I want to talk about here is that sometimes you might need those numeric fields. Let's say for example that zoom in, zoom out with or without the control button is not fast or slow enough for you. You can use this numeric field to control the speed of that zoom precisely. For example, if I want to make a zoom out here very slow, I can go here and this can also apply for any numeric field on Massive. I can mark a certain part of the number and start drag it with my right mouse button, and you will find that it will move fast or slow depending on the rank that I choose. For example, if I choose hundreds here, it will give me a fast zoom, and if I choose 1000 here, it will give me much faster zoom. And you can make this tool very handy in case you are viewing large areas and suddenly want to zoom in to see the agent close to you. Okay, let's go to the second tab here, the Constraint tab. Now here I can make the camera follow the agent in a different ways. Remember the Alt F shortcut? It's a shortcut for one of those options here. So for example, if I write the name of the agent, which is rat, here on that field, and I will change the off here to one of the options, let's say follow 3D, and I start playing, it will be the same as pressing the Alt F. And when I press Alt F again, it will shift back to be off. And when I press Alt F, it will change back to follow 3D. Even if I got nothing here on the name field, if I press Alt F, it will change to follow 3D and follow this agent. And we have also several options here. You might want to check it if you want. For example, look at is interesting. It makes the camera follow the agent with its aim. Point of view is also interesting. You can see from the point of view of the agent, as if you ride it, for example. Smooth here is interesting also. Determine how much you want this camera to stick with that agent according to the options. So for example, if I change this to follow 3D and change the smooth to 0, the camera here will follow the agent without any smoothness within the movement. Anyway, most of the time I'm using the shortcut Alt F. But it's also good to know about these other options. Okay, Let's see the projection tab. Projection will have some of the very famous attributes or properties for the camera. We got, for example, the FOV here that will control the lens of the camera. And we got here the pixel aspect ratio. You probably know what it is. It's the aspect ratio of the dimension of the pixel. And most of the time we are using one value if you want to render to HD or cinema. But in other cases, when you are working with an older system like NTSC or PAL, you might want to change to a different numbers. But I'm going to keep it on 1 for now. And here we got the film back. It's already been set to 35 millimeter. And here we got the Z-min and Z-max. This is for clipping for the camera. Z-max here is like, I think, 500,000. If I change it to 5,000 or 3,000, you will find that part of the scene in the back is gone because of the clipping of the camera. And here we got the Z-min. We can change its value to like 100, 500, for example. And we'll notice that even part of the agent is gone. So most of the time you want to try to keep these numbers reasonable. Don't make it too high because it's going to give you a problem with the visibility within the GPU. So I'll change it here to a good 100,000 for max and 10 for mine. And also I got here the animation tab. This tab here is for animating the camera. But most of the time we're not going to animate the camera within Massive. Most of the time we're going to animate it on a different 3D application and then import the animation and save it as an action. But we are not going to go through that on this tutorial. Okay, what else? We got here the background tab. Okay, let's try to put an image here. Let me select one. I'll take, for example, this one here, castle. And you can see that the image appeared on the view. Okay, let's try to match the camera here, for example. And we will hide the grid. And it seems to have a good time here. Okay, what else? And this offset option right here is in case we are working on a sequence instead of image, and we want to offset that sequence. And in that case, we won't need to use it. Okay, finally, we got this render tab. But first, let me remove this image from the background. We don't need it. We're probably going to talk about that later, but not now. Okay, now we got these options that connect the camera to the view. Let's open the camera menu. For example, we got here display film back and crop film back to cut it. And I always crop my film back when I'm rendering with velocity. And we can display the background or not if you want. Heads up here will give you the name of the camera on the view. And the resolution, let's open that here. Now the resolution here is connected to this view. For example, if you want to export image for the sake of viewing, not rendering, this image will be following the resolution of the view. So I'll change here, for example, to 1024 and 576 to make the view widescreen. And if you want, of course, you can change the resolution by hand, no problem. One thing I want to say about the resolution, sometimes, I don't know why, honestly, when I put a specific number of resolution, I'll get back to the menu and I find that Massive changed these number a little bit. It's very close, but it's not the number that I put it. You might not have this case, and you might have. Remember always that this is a preview. This is not a render. Okay, let's press accept for that. Let me go to the menu, fake shadow. Okay, that's it for what concerns the camera and the view. Now, let's talk a little bit about light. On Massive, we got 4 default lights that created for you once you open Massive. But unlike cameras, it's not the same. Each one have different attributes. So just like the camera, I'm going to create my own light. I'm going to put it here. And I will also call it my light. Same like camera. Let's see what options do we have on that light. And of course, you can view it from this menu here, lights. All the lights created on the center of the scene. And that also includes my light. Okay, let's see what I got on my lights here. I got here the color of the light. I can change it if I want. Let me just adjust the location of that light here. I'm going to wait for a second. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is my light. Okay, back again. First of all, we got the color of the light. I can change the color if I want. And in this case, the agent will take lights from the other 4 lights. And I got the intensity parameter here to determine the power of that light. I got the eye here that I used it earlier, just a moment ago. It's to see through that light, just like on Maya. And here I got some options that's similar to the camera options. Transform tab, for example. I can rotate it and translate it around any axis that I want. And I can also create some keys here if I want to animate this light within Massive. Okay, we got also the constraint tab, same as the camera, except this time lights follows the agent. As you can see here, the light is following the agent. I'm going to go through that very fast because there's much time on this specific lesson. Okay, I got here the OpenGL tab. And this here will determine what kind of light is that. We got the ambient, the directional light, the spot, and the point light. And all these types, I think, are familiar to any 3D application user. And we got here some options that is related to shadow map. I'm going to talk about it later when I'm start talking about velocity render. Okay, I got the render tab here. I'm also going to talk about that later. This button here will determine whether this light is on or off for specific paths. And the animation tab, same for the camera. I can animate the light if I want, or import an action for a light that's already animated on a different 3D application in order to animate it through the scene. Okay, this is about lights. Okay, now in the next lesson, we're going to stop working on my agent. We're going to start creating our agent from scratch, a very simple one. And we're also going to discover some other stuff within the user interface.